Bryan here from Liquid Concepts. So today we're going to be dipping a Corvette front splitter. And what's funny is that this is actually a real carbon fiber splitter, but I guess there was maybe a defect in it. Somebody painted it, I don't know, but essentially it came to us painted. And so what we're actually going to be doing now, the customer did not like the paint job that was on it, had a couple of rock chips in it, so we went ahead, we fixed all the rock chips, and now we're actually going to make it look back just like the real carbon fiber, like it actually is built like. And so sometimes you might have these jobs come in and they are very long, wide pieces, all right? And so you can tell, of course, this is not going to fit all of this. Now, sure, you can turn it and lay it out just like this all the way across, and sure, it would fit, but do you have a tank big enough for that? So let's kind of look at what we're going to be doing on something that's this size to get it all inside your tank. And so if you do have a tank that's this big, that's great, that's awesome. This video is probably not going to be for you, but for the majority of us, and even us included, we have a very large tank and we could fit it in there, but it'd be really tight. And so in this case, to make sure that the customer's going to like the print, we're actually going to do it in 2 dips. And so I'll kind of go over a couple of those things with you. So first off, you can kind of follow me over here and you can see, if you look at this, of course this is our dipping area that we've got from here to right here, and you can see that it just barely fits, right? And so if we was to dip this going just straight in or kind of at an angle or something like that, I can make it fit. It would stretch really badly up the sides, up into here, but it would work. And so I can do it in 1 dip. But I know that the customer's probably not going to be as happy with it, and of course I'm not going to be happy with it. So we're actually going to do it in 2 dips, and we're going to make it to where we don't have to have as big of a tank as what we need to do this entire thing. If we had an 8-foot tank dipping area, sure, we could fit this in there no problem, but we don't. And so what we're actually going to do here is we're actually going to half it, and we're going to put a line right down the middle of it, so then that way our carbon is running like this way and like this. And so that way it looks more like a factory carbon piece, and we're able to get it in 2 dips, because I could easily go from here over to right here and make it work, instead of trying to just barely fit all of this straight down into my tank itself. And so what we're going to do is we're going to come over here and we're going to tape this up, get it ready for the dip, and start dipping. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm actually, it's going to be very simple. I've got some tape already put onto some paper, and so really all we're going to do is we're just going to line this up right here on this edge, which is right in the middle of the actual splitter itself, and then we're just going to run a line just straight down just like that, and then wrap it around here and wrap it around there. And so essentially all we're really doing is we're preventing any of the film whenever we go to dip the first time to get on any of this. And so if you want to wrap the whole thing, you definitely can. It's not going to hurt anything. But in this case, I know that once I get down to probably somewhere around in this area on the dip, I'm just going to stop and just pull it right back out. And so that's all that I need, and this is all that I feel comfortable with in having on here, and still knowing that I can get a good dip. And so essentially this is going to be very simple. We're just going to start with something like this right here, and then we're just going to just go right down into the water with it just like that, dip it, pull it back out, we'll rinse it, dry it off, and then come back in and then dip this whole other section. So stay tuned and we'll get started dipping on it. Okay, so we got our film laid out, and one thing to kind of look at is how much film are you going to need. So of course in this case, because we don't want our carbon to stretch and move, we could actually turn it like this, and we could actually make half of this section right here and half of that section work for the dip. But our carbon's going to be a little bit awkward, it's not going to look right, and so in this case we're actually just going to have to waste a lot of this, which we could still use for other jobs later down the road, but in this case we're going to have to use more than the half that we thought that we could use to make sure that we get the dip right. And so that's essentially what we want to do, is because you can see we're very close to the edge up here, and because if we put this right here like that, right on that edge, and it's straight on, you can see we're past our halfway mark right up here. And so in this case, I'm gonna just go ahead and back that out just a little bit right there. And then we'll go ahead and cut our line, probably something about like this right here. And again, we can move that out of the way and cut that. And so now that we've got that, now we can actually take, and on this case, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put tape across this side right here and this side right here. Now, yeah, it does suck having to waste all this film, but this is one of those jobs where you have to take into account that even though you're only dipping, say, this much, as it wraps around, it's kind of like a fender flare. As it wraps around, you're only dipping that much of that flare, but because of that arc, you're having to use that much film by this much film just on this one half. And then whenever we turn around and we do this other half, it's going to be the exact same way. So that's just kind of something to remember, especially whenever you're pricing out those jobs, is remember, sometimes you're going to have to waste a lot of material, like all of this right here, unless you actually have something that you can dip. Say they're doing a whole interior or something, you can still have all of this that's usable. But in this case, it's just a splitter, so we're just going to go ahead and do this. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to line out some tape on this right here, mainly just to kind of help us in picking it up and also not wanting to curl up on the edges or anything like that whenever we put it in the water. And then once we get all this down, now we can move our splitter, get all this in the water, and get started, so stay tuned. Alright, so we've got everything laid out on the water. Everything came out really good. Again, it's a big piece to activate just for the little bitty bit that it is. I actually got a couple of little air bubbles right here. Very simple, we'll just blow those out that way, and then they'll be good to go. So I'm going to grab some gloves on. We'll get the activator on this and then we'll dip it. Alright, so again, you just want to be slow and steady with the activator. Make sure you get a full pass on every one, so then that way it activates it correctly all the way through. All right, looks like we got glass on the water. Cameraman's choking from it.
Just dip it.
All right, so we're actually going to dip this a little bit downward like this, a little bit towards me. And I'm still at an angle going all the way down into the water. And then as I come down, I'm just going down slowly, just like this, all the way through. And then essentially, whenever I get towards this bottom section here, once I get to where my tape and my paper is, I'm good. And then now, we'll pull it right back out, just like that. And there we go. We have carbon fiber on the first half of the splitter. So again, we're going to go ahead, we're going to put this in the rinse station, we're going to go ahead and get it rinsed off, and then after we get it all rinsed off, we're going to come back, we're going to dip the other side, and then everything will be good. So again, we're going to tape off that, and then we'll be good to go. So let's get it rinsing, and then we'll be back here in just a minute. Alright, so we got everything dipped, everything is rinsed off, it's dried. We have actually already got it all taped up again, so just to kind of give you a little refresher, what we've done here is you can barely see it because it's really hard to see there with the black, but we've got a little bit of a line to where this pattern is actually going to overlap on that pattern. And then what I've done is I've put the blue tape over the top of it, just barely set it, just enough to hold it to where it's going to stay there. And then I've got my normal tape and paper over the top of the blue tape, so then that way whenever the dip comes up to somewhere around in here, it's not going to stick. And then I know that I can stop just like we did before and bring it back out, pull all the tape off, rinse it, we're good to go. Then we can move on to the clear coat. So I've already got everything ready to go right here. we've already got our film laid out. So again, on something like this, I've got plenty of room all the way around. And again, we're gonna have to use a big piece just like we did before, but to do it the right way, this is the way that we're gonna have to do it. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna get this piece in the water and get started. So stay tuned. All right, so we got the film in the water, we're letting it hydrate, and so again, same thing, we're gonna let it sit on the water and then spray it with our activator. Now, one thing to definitely make sure of is that whenever you do have a big piece like this, you always wanna make sure you have plenty of activator in your gun, because there's nothing worse than getting about halfway through right in here and it just goes spit, 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 and you're out of activator. So just kind of a quick tip on that, always make sure you have enough activator for the job that you're about to spray. So we got a little bit time left. I'm gonna grab some gloves on and then we're gonna get dipping again. All right, so we got our timer going off, and now again, just slow, steady, activate the entire thing. Hopefully the cameraman won't get asphyxiated this time. And again, just a slow, steady spray all the way across. All right, so we got a little bit broke up right there. Not a big deal, because we're actually going to be dipping this way. So again, we're going to go in the exact same way and then just go in like this and just slowly just go down into the water, just like what we did the last time, all the way down until we get down to this right here. Once we hit right here, now we're done. And then we can bring it right back out. So we'll bring it out slowly, flip it around, and there we go. That is a fully dipped Corvette front splitter. And so what I'm gonna do is because this is already dipped, I can go ahead and I can do one of two things. I can just set it back in the water like this, kind of let this soak a little bit, kind of like what we've talked about in some of the other videos. And then now I can actually take and pull all of this off, back across through here, back like that. So now that will come off there. Grab this back side in here. There we go. And then slowly just pull this off right through here. And there we go. So we now have a dipped Corvette splitter, and everything looks really good. So we'll go ahead, we'll get this in the rinse, get this dried off, and then get it clear coated and show you guys the final product. So stay tuned. All right, so we've got everything all finished with the splitter. I think it came out really good. The customer's definitely going to love it. We definitely love it, and it came out looking amazing. So again, we've got our carbon fiber. You saw us, we have dipped it twice. We dipped one side with this right here, and then of course we dipped the other side with this. We came back in, we did any touch-ups that we needed, and then of course we put our high gloss finish over the entire thing, and it came out looking amazing. So customers definitely going to love it. I hope you guys have really enjoyed this video. I know we always do. If you haven't already, definitely hit the subscribe button. We'd love to have for you subscribe. And if you like the video, give us a big thumbs up. We'd always love to have that. And if you have any questions or comments, definitely leave them in the comments section below. We'll try to get to you as soon as we can. So if you have any questions on anything that we have used in the video, we're going to have it in the link below in the description, and that way you can see everything that we do. And if you have any questions or anything, you can always email us or give us a comment, and we'll respond to it as soon as we can. So I'm Brian from Liquid Concepts, and we're making Hydrographics great again. We'll see you guys next time.